I'm sitting here on a very windy day at the Kosel. I'd like to give over a short but important message, and that is something which I heard many times from Moshe Sternbuch. We're so close to the Gula, what's stopping it? Why is the Gula not coming yet? And Moshe Sternbuch has told me many times that it's because of Machlokas. Our job, it's a mission actually needius, that we have to try and end Machlokas as much as we can, and then Eliyahu Navi will come and complete the job, right? And I received a letter from someone yesterday who I was speaking with previously on the phone, and he told me they have a very difficult, complex machlokas with someone in their family, and I empathize with that. It's not easy. Sometimes family people see things differently, and it's very hard. It's very complicated. What can a person do? And the advice which I gave, and I'm going to reiterate that, and it's something I've heard from my Rebbeim, the Gedol, and Chazal say it. Chazal say that um, as follows: if you're in a machlokas with someone, Pasuk tells us about machlokas. Lo tiei machlokas korach v'adasei. There will never be ever again a machlokas like Korach and his Eidah. Right? As Rav Chaim Shmulevitz explains, in that machlokas, Moshe Rabbeinu was 100% right, and Korach was 100% wrong. Right? It was polarized. Moshe 100% right, Korach 100% wrong. That was complete. Says Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, every machlokas after that is percentages. It could be 90-10, it could be 80-20, it could be 50-50. Right? But in every single machlokas that we have, as right as we might be, there's something we're doing wrong. Right? It might be we're acting too strongly. It might be we're too zealous. It might be we might have said something wrong. It might be we have a slight. Either we're being pushed to be too lenient or too stringent. Right? We see things our way. Kol derech ish yoshev einav, the pasuk says. Right? Everybody thinks that their way is right. Why? It's my way. Right? Rabbi Yonah, in fact, asked, "What are you supposed to do?" Kol derech ish yoshev einav. I see it's right. He says, "Tochen libos Hashem." If you really want to know the truth, says Rabbi Yonah, Hashem will show it to you. He'll send you a shliach. As Rav Zelik Pliskin writes about his book, The Power of Words, he said, which is a book about Onos Tvarim, saying for words to people. He says, if you receive multiple copies of this book as a gift, then maybe Hashem is trying to tell you something. Okay. But in any event, right, in every single machlokas, there's always some part wrong. As right as you might be, you might be 99% right, yeah, but you're 1% wrong. And on that 1%, that's usually more, 10, 20, 30%, you can apologize. And apologizing has a tremendous power. Apologizing has a tremendous power. Because when you apologize, the other person feels relieved. The other person feels this person recognizes what's hurting, right? Now, it's very hard to be aware of somebody else's sensitivities. It's very difficult, right? What seems to be a mitzvah to us, it might be hard for the other person, and we can't understand that. How could something like tefillah, Torah learning, something else, how could that be a problem? This will be one example. I was once on a plane, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. On a plane, it's hard to know the time. And the time for Ma'ariv came, or Shachris, maybe it was Shachris probably, and the whole plane was sleeping. And the guy got up and he decided that to make a minyan, which, it's a question, should you make a minyan, shouldn't you make a minyan? Plane. But he not only made a minyan, but he wanted to say, to fulfill what Chazal say about saying Hey Shmei Rabba with all kocho. He wanted to fill it literally as a machlokas between Rashi and Tosfos. And the steward came up to me and said, listen, you look like somebody who's a rational person. Can you tell this person it's inappropriate while everybody's sleeping to be screaming, at the top of his lungs? So I went over to the person and I said, you know what? Not only will you not receive reward for being part of this minyan, but everybody who's part of this minion, is doing an avera because you're waking up everybody in the plane. One person sat down, the rest of the people just kept davening, and that's a good example of a person. This person was very zealous about saying Hey Shmi Rabbi at the top of his lungs, but he was waking everybody up, on the plane. So it's not such a big mitzvah. It's like avera. Not only avera, but Chil Hashem. People who are not religious trying to sleep on the plane, they see people davening at the top of their lungs and waking them up. What do they think about Jewish people? Now, that's just an example. We could do something which we think is a massive mitzvah, but the other person doesn't take it that way, right? Doesn't take it that way. So therefore, in every relationship, we have to be very, very careful, very careful, and very sensitive to the fact that what we think is a massive mitzvah, and it might even be a mitzvah, but the person could still be heard from it, right? It's a double bite. It could be a mitzvah, and we can apologize for that. And by apologizing to them, we show our respect for their feelings, who they are, and that we appreciate that they feel differently than us. And this is really the beginning of the Gula. Today is the celebration, as it were, of, or tonight actually, in Eretz Israel of the Israeli Independence Day, right? And they call it Schalta de Gula, right? Schalta de Gula, certainly getting back Eretz Israel is something very, very important. But the real Schalta de Gula, if you want to know where it really, really starts, is by recognizing other people's sensitivities and not fighting with people, trying to be sensitive of each other, right? Each other's needs. And often the person who can be most successful at that is the person who can be mavater. If one person in this can be mavater and say, you know what, even though I don't really understand why the person is doing this, and it really is painful for me what they're doing, right? But I can see, look, I'm not perfect, and I have nikias, and I see things my own way. Kol derech isha shmeinu, right? If a person can come around and to recognize that there might be, not might be, there definitely is some element of mistake in their position. Yeah, because in every machlokas, that's what the Torah tells us. Yeah, lo tiyeh kakarach badasam. Some point we're mistaken, and even if it's 90-10 and we're the 10, yeah, but on that 10% to say, you know what, I understand, I might have caused you some anguish by the way I acted, and I'm sorry for that. And by doing that, you create the greatest quote Shemayim, because you are recognizing that we're not perfect, and you're recognizing that the feelings of somebody else are so important, and that's such a beautiful thing. And the Moshe Sternbuch told me this is really the avoda of today. The avoda of today is to end machlokas. So as I've said many times from the Malbim and the Maharal, B'shchanti doesn't say B'shchanti b'toichai over here in this behind this wall. B'shchanti b'soicham. When every Jewish heart is united as one, then the Shekhinah can rest on it. Right? The Maharal says the Shekhinah can't reside in parts; it has to reside in one. In order for it to be one, it has to be that there's no sinah between us. There's no bad feelings between Jews, and that all Jewish hearts become one, and then the Shekhinah can rest on the Jewish people. So everything we could do towards this process is a massive mitzvah, and the more we do, the closer we are. So therefore, I give a message to everybody out there who's fighting with somebody. Right? Try to do what you can to end the cloacus, because this is the key. And as hard as it might be, and as complex as it might be, as difficult it might be, do it today. Because if it's really, really complex, as Sternbuch told me, we'll finish with that point. Right? Just like Pinchas saved the Jewish people, and he got credit for saving the entire Jewish people, the person who ends the machlokas, or whatever it might be, in Ben El Machavero, and it's the most complex they could possibly imagine, that person could be the last step before the Gula, and the Gula will be called their new name. And as I wrote this once, I said this year, one wrote back to me, I want to be that person, and you could be that person. Every single person listening, the more complex your machlokas is, the more difficult it is. The more difficult it is to apologize for what you might have done wrong or might not have done wrong, right? The more you can do that, the greater the chances are the gula will be called in your name. We should be zoichet to that day, the karav, the ischal to the gula. It should start and finish very soon. Amen.